Hey, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho.
Hey-o.
We're here. We're late, but we're here. We made it. How's everybody? How's it going? How are things?
You turn the volume down.
Turn the volume down on your phone.
Or mute it. There's a button on the side. Mute it.
All right. So yeah, we are here. We're gonna do a show. We're gonna kind of rattle through this one because we're getting a little bit of a late start here tonight, but yeah, that's all right.
And I have work in the morning.
You have work in the morning.
I also have work in the morning.
I have things I have to do, so it's all good.
Let's go.
Let's do this thing. All right. Let me flip. Oh yeah, I need to make myself known in chat. Give me a moment. It's my 6-month subiversary, I guess. There we go. All right. So yeah. As always, we get into the show. We're not going to be able to talk about chat, talk to chat, stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. You get it. Okay.
So on and so forth.
Got an intro?
Oh crap.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What do we have that we can... Hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show that Warner Brothers didn't want you to see. I'm Sam.
That Warner Brothers doesn't know exists. I'm Cody.
They don't need to know that part, just that they didn't want everybody to see it.
And I'm Josh, and I'm back from the back shelves of Warner Brothers. It's dusty back there. There's a whole Batgirl movie back there.
I can't believe that, right?
I've been written off.
As a tax write-off?
Yeah, I'm a tax write-off for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, they got like maybe $1.50 for me.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, we have a great show for you this week. Thank you all for tuning in. We have a bunch of news, as always. We're going to be talking about Coyote versus Acme, Layface. We're going to be talking about all sorts of fun, happy, fun stuff.
It's sequel Coyote versus Ugly.
Yeah. Perfect.
Where Wile E. Coyote does a lot of dancing
on top of a bar. Yeah, absolutely.
And Kevin Smith ghost wrote it, I think.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He, at least part of it. Yeah. But first, let's get into some things we have been checking out.
Check it out!
Sound clip with brand new InfoWars owner Tim Heidecker.
I was going to say that's going to be part of the news when we get to it. That's for sure. Yes.
Forgot to write that up there.
And we'll get to it though. So no, I'll jump right in. Things I've been checking out. Went back and was having a nice lazy weekend. Didn't really want to think. Didn't really want to absorb new information. So I watched Fast and the Furious 7, 8, and part of 9.
You are a stronger man than me.
That's a lot of bad movies.
Here's the thing.
That's a lot of family.
Guys, here's the thing. One, it's all about the family. And two, look at it this way. It's a D&D campaign. You're in Fast and the Furious 1, what are you doing? You're racing cars and you're stealing TV, DVD combos off of the back of trucks. Pretty simple stuff. As your level 1 characters, basically. As the characters are leveling up and hitting their prestige classes and stuff like that, by 8, they're Tokyo drifting a submarine in the Arctic.
I mean, you know what? You might have had me with that argument right there. You know what? Okay. That makes sense to me.
Dom Toretto has shown time and time again that over the years he has been growing a chitinous exoskeleton because he can take all forms of damage and be able to just stand up from it. His barbarian class keeps going up and up, although he's a paladin. He has a very specific rule set that he lives by.
True.
Order of Frambly. Yeah. No, seriously, Jordan and I, while we were watching these, she was half listening to me because, it's me. But I was going through okay, what D&D classes, what 5e classes would each of the characters do? And I'm not going to go through all of them here, mostly because you guys haven't witnessed the amazingness that is all of the Fast and the Furious movies. But Dom is definitely a paladin. without a doubt. He has some barbarian thrown in.
I don't know.
None of the classes are straight classes.
I was more of the fact that because he's a thief.
No, there are better choices for that one. Han is a better thief, because he's dex based instead of charisma based. Giselle is a ranger because she just kind of is there to look pretty and shoot gun. Roman is 1000% a bard. Tyrese Gibbons is a bard because the man does not shut up. And by movies 7, 8, 9, he serves no purpose other than going, "Wow, guys, can you take a minute and think about this? This is crazy. Why are we doing this? Why am I getting in a car and driving into space?" A real thing that happens.
He's there in case somebody's like not paying attention to the movie or like in the other room making spaghetti.
Yeah.
To say out loud what's happening. Cool.
That's exactly it.
Or they know you're looking at your phone.
Yeah. Well, there's a subplot in 9 where they seem to pair the characters off where Dom and Letty, who's Rodriguez, and it was Brian, but he is no longer with us. Paul Walker no longer with us. But they kind of cordon off the main characters from like the side characters. The side characters are like
B plot,
like Ludacris and the other who is the hacker man, and then Ramsey, who is the hacker woman, who is better than Ludacris, the hacker man, and Tyrese Gibbons. They are usually the beef plot. And one of the things he kept going was in 9. Think for a minute, all of the crazy stuff that we've done over the years. I'm beginning to think we're invincible. That the universe does not.
Card
No, he can't say it. He can't say it.
Oh yeah,
you have to get ready to say it, and then the title card pops up.
Yes, but but there's.
I've been watching it recently.
Oh yeah,
Invincible.
Nice. I actually need to start it. I liked the comics when it was first out. It was.
You know what? The show is actually legitimately pretty good.
Yeah.
It
is.
Yeah, I don't like the genre of what if Superman but evil.
Yeah,
I don't care for that. It's why I haven't really watched The Boys.
It's a little more complex.
I know it's a little more complex than that, but
they kind of take it. It's a little more than that.
I know.
mean, that's initially where the idea, the seed of the idea.
That's the elevator pitch.
That's where like the first season is, right? It's
pretty
like,
much.
What if Superman but bad? That's where the comics were.
It's still its own thing.
Yeah,
because I mean, he's got a whole like suburban family, and you see how that affects them in different ways.
Sure.
And like it's I think that it's extremely reductive of it to say that it's Superman but evil, because there is more than that.
No, I completely understand that. It's just that has been the barrier for me to make the jump to get into it.
I mean, there was a lot of that.
I mean, it's
from
not,
like
it's
that
not
era.
Brightburn, like
yeah,
or The Boys,
Yeah.
or
yeah. I mean, as much
Irredeemable.
Irredeemable. I'm surprised they haven't tried to make that into a show.
I'm honestly
you know what?
surprised too.
You know, The Boys is ending after this season. They might. Although that comic does kind of, the ending sucks.
Irredeemable.
Irredeemable. The ending is really weird and metaphysical.
I
and
watched the first episode of The Boys, and I just felt feels like you're trying way too hard.
It feels like I want to take a shower after each episode. And like, you know, there's a time and a place for that.
Invincible will get you there too.
Oh sure,
well, it's not,
but not as bad.
It's not. It's gross, but it's not
scuzzy.
Scummy, yeah.
Yeah,
Scuzzy,
it's not like
It doesn't feel edgelordy like The
you're
Boys.
not,
Boys, sure.
It doesn't make your skin crawl. It's just kind of more of a, well, that sucks.
Yeah. So that's really what I've been doing. The other thing was I've gone back and watched some old internet historian videos. Have you ever watched any of that guy's stuff?
No.
Australian.
Before he got in trouble for plagiarizing.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, if I'm thinking of the same guy, he's the guy that did the caving one, right? Did he do one about a cave disaster?
I'm not sure about that. He did one on Fallout 76. He did one on Fire Festival. An Australian guy. This the guy you're thinking of?
Don't.
Okay. Well, this guy, he's an Australian guy with a very soothing voice that explains dumb stuff that's happened in the internet era.
It was the same time that the James Somerton plagiarism episode happened, so it didn't get as much
okay
coverage.
Gotcha. See, I don't know if it's this guy or not.
Is his icon like that old?
It's that old man.
Face? Yeah, it's that guy.
Oh darn. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to stop watching his stuff then. Sorry, that's an anti-rec. Don't watch his stuff anymore.
It might have just been that one time. I don't know.
It just plagiarized that one time.
Yeah, it might have just been that one video.
Okay. Well, that sucks. Well, then never mind. Never mind. Don't watch his things. But his video on Fallout 76 is pretty fascinating. Talking about the bag kerfuffle.
I don't know this.
Oh, about Fallout 76?
Yes, please explain. Oh, wait, no, I know the bag. I think I've watched this video too, actually.
So it's the long and short of it is there was a special edition of this game that came out. Came with a helmet. It's called the Power Armor Edition, and it had a decorative helmet. It had a bunch of other stuff and a canvas bag.
Canvas
bag.
I remember this.
And then when people received their special edition, it was nylon, which is not canvas.
No, considerably cheaper.
Yes, and when people started to complain, the initial email sent out was Bethesda, the actual company, going, and I quote, "We aren't planning on doing anything about this. This was a prototype and not indicative of the actual product. We aren't planning on doing anything about it." And then
Plus, you should spend time enjoying the great game.
Yeah,
that the bag is based on.
With its millions of bugs.
That at the time, the game was being
awful,
shot down left and right. People hated it.
Well, I forgot about the second part of that, where they finally were like, okay, fine, we'll make you your bags. Go to our website. There's a form you have to fill out, name, address, whatever, and we'll ship it to you in 4 to 6 months, whatever. People were doing that. And because it's Bethesda and everything they do is buggy, it left all the tickets open for the public to see. So everyone's full names, addresses, social security numbers.
So they doxed everybody in their customer list.
Do you want your canvas bag? Congratulations, you've been doxed. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And then the Nuka-Cola Dark Rum. Did you hear about that one as well?
I think I watched this video. Okay. I don't remember it very well.
Okay, so it's really fresh in my brain. So one of the premier things that they were selling in their shop was Nuka-Cola Dark. It was supposed to come in a bottle that looked like
a rocket.
A rocket that looked part rocket, part glass, bottle.
Like the Nuka-Cola bottles looked like.
Right.
Yeah, in the game.
And it took them forever and all the promo material looked like frosted glass. It looked really nice. When they were released, when they were sent out, it was late for one thing, and two, it was a plastic shell snapped on top of a really cheap bottle of like bottom shelf rum. So it was false advertising. The way that the bottle, the plastic shell was constructed meant that when you poured out the drink, it would sometimes pour inside in between the bottle and the thing, causing mold.
Oh.
There was no protective over the sticker that went on top of it. It was just a paper sticker that they stuck on this plastic mold. So once you dribbled some out, if you got any into your glass, it's probably pouring down the side as well, and it ruined the sticker. And yeah, it was a complete mess. And they were charging $80 a pop for that.
Bethesda always has like an absurd number of like merch things.
Yeah. Well, that jacket that was $276. Why the extra $76? That doesn't exactly make it immersive to the gameplay.
It's Fallout 76, so it's got to be.
No, I understand, but like it does. They didn't have to tack an extra. The jacket's $200. They didn't need to tack an extra $76 on it for the laughs.
Are you sure this isn't like a cyberpunk jacket you're talking about? No, I'm serious.
No.
Because 2077 would have been cyberpunk.
Yeah, but
we're talking about.
I understand that.
Fallout 76.
Yeah, I don't understand I don't know. Stupid, regardless, the stupid jacket.
Yeah. Well, it's because the jacket was $200, and as a joke, they put an extra $76 on it because it's the number, right?
Yeah.
But it also means they're charging an extra $76 for it.
Yeah.
And Dingus Gamers will do it.
Yeah, yes, and gamers will do it.
They had a really cool Wolfenstein jacket. That
they
yellow jacket with the black stripe that he wears in the second game.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they sold that for a while. That looked cool, but I'm sure it was actually nylon.
Probably show up and covered in spiders or something.
Yeah.
And not just the little ones, like the big ones, the ones that'll put the hurt on you.
It's got it's got a weird chemical smell to it. Gives you a headache.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
It's been encased in uber concrete. That's a Wolfenstein joke.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
Uber concrete.
I was going to say you would get separate pieces of fabric, and it's a build-your-own jacket. So, all right, that's what I've been doing.
You can only wear it if your head had previously been removed and then reattached to
That's
your
how
body.
you get the jacket on. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, what have you guys been up to?
Let's see. I finally started playing Pokemon Legends ZA for real.
Oh, yeah?
That's a really good game.
It is
That's
good.
a fun game.
Good.
It
As good as the last Pokemon Legends?
Yeah, it's as good as Arceus, I think. It's not as interesting because the setting isn't as out there as the other one.
Storyline's not as, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But gameplay's fun, and it's fun to... It makes it fun to catch Pokemon, which in other Pokemon games is kind of a chore.
It is kind of a chore. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. How do you make catching Pokemon not fun in your Pokemon game? Looking at you, Game Freak.
Well, no, that's good. I'm glad it's a good one. They really have a high track record on the side games.
Yeah. Well, it's because they don't have all the baggage of competitive
Oh, sure.
to deal with. Which hopefully, with Champions around, that will take the heat off of the main gen games to have to be competitive, viable. Which I also have been playing Champions, and I think it's pretty fun too.
Yeah, I need to. I've been waiting for it to be released on phone.
Which next month I think.
Next month. Okay, cool.
But I've been playing it on Switch, and it's pretty fun. It's fun to just be able to pull up a random Pokemon battle.
Yeah.
With a rando and do it, and it automatically levels your Pokemon, and
it does.
You can distribute the stats in the way that you want.
Interesting. Okay.
So it takes a lot of the grind and the EVs and all the garbage that makes competitive not fun.
Yeah.
And inaccessible to people that don't have infinite time.
Sure.
Or use hack devices.
Well, that too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well that's cool. That's cool. I'm looking forward to checking that one out when I get a chance.
Yeah, I actually downloaded Pokemon Go so I could get my Pokemon out of there and into home and then into Champions.
Pokemon Go away.
Yeah,
to a better game.
Pokemon Go to a better game.
Yeah.
So I have my shiny Gyarados in Champions.
Nice. Josh?
I honestly haven't really been doing a whole lot. Working, whatnot.
Sure, of course.
Digging. I'm many hours into Graveyard Keeper now.
Okay, yeah, we talked about that last week, right?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see the Mario movie?
No.
So we can't talk.
We can't talk about it yet.
Can't talk about the Mario movie yet.
We give our non-spoiler opinions on it since we have a couple minutes.
You guys talk about it. I got it.
Oh, okay. I'll be sure to cut that out of the podcast.
The live folks get all of it.
Yeah.
Including the live audio feed into the bathroom.
That's it, yes. So yeah, let's take just a minute or two and non-spoilery, and then he says we can spoil, so I guess we can spoil. I liked it. I liked the Mario Galaxy movie.
Yeah. There was no story, there was no character arcs there. It wasn't funny. There was some stuff that was neat. I liked Star Fox, and I liked the little animated part that introduced Star Fox.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And it made me go, well, I'd rather watch that movie. Can I watch that movie?
Yeah, I will say, I will admit that this one doesn't have quite the... I don't think I liked it as much as the first one. I don't think it had, you're right, not as much of a story. I'm a little less harsh on it but we've had this conversation before that, I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm a little kid and a parent that played Mario once when they were children. I can be a little more lenient on it. I liked the inclusion of Wart and some of their other characters, even though they didn't do much. The fact that they referenced them was good.
I wish they had a reason to be there other than to be like, well, it'd be neat if there was a casino fight in the movie, and then that happens, and then it never comes up again.
Sure, but you never know. They could set it up. They did stunt cast Wart, so even though he only had 3 lines, that was good
casting. That was one of the better things.
Yeah, I will give you this. There is absolutely zero reason whatsoever that they had to cast Donald Glover as the voice of Yoshi. There was zero reason for it.
I didn't mind it, though. I thought he was fine as Yoshi. I thought I would hate that, but, like, honestly, it was fine.
I thought he was fine, but there was nothing inherently different.
No, they could have used
any voice actor. They could have just used clips from the various games from over the years. They could have
used the same Yoshi sound bank they've been using for 30 years.
Yeah, so there's no reason. Not saying he did a bad job. He did fine. There's no reason for it. It's the same as Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. He's great. He does a good job. He is unrecognizable in the role between him doing a voice and also them pitching him up. Yeah. So what's the point at that point? You just are getting the name of the celebrity.
But like the thing that most illustrates the issue with the movie to me, what it does involve Yoshi. It's after the Mario Brothers find him, instead of having like a montage where they show maybe the Mario Brothers raising Yoshi or like, you know, growing closer to Yoshi as he grows from hatching the egg to adult. They just automatically jump to they're best friends for no apparent reason other than...
They did kind of speed run that. I'll tell you what that felt like was a necessity because they set up that teaser for Mario, the second movie, at the post-credits of the first one. And when they decided to go the Galaxy route instead of the Yoshi's Island route, they felt they needed to pay off that teaser.
Then they could have at least, if they had that moment, and it would have taken a minute to do a montage of them feeding Yoshi or something, there would have at least been an emotional through line for something. Like, that's why the Mario Brothers love Yoshi and why Yoshi loves the Mario Brothers. But instead, we have no emotional through line whatsoever. Things are just the way they are because that's how they're supposed to be, and that's how they are in the game.
The kids' movie.
Which doesn't make a movie.
It makes a kids' movie.
Kids' movies don't need to be garbage, though. Kids' movies can have an emotional through line and be good.
I agree, but I think... How do I want to say it? I don't know. I can be a little more lenient on it than... Yeah.
Pixar makes kids movies all the time, and they have emotional depth and storytelling.
But then again, you also need to consider the source. We're getting these from Illumination, where they did before the Mario movie, there was a trailer for their next Minions movie, and I mean, it was just fart, banana, and that's all it was.
Which is why Illumination shouldn't have made this movie to begin with.
Well, I agree, but if we're taking into account, okay, Illumination sucks. 9 times out of 10, what they put out is it's garbage from a toilet. Given that,
I mean, if you want to grade on a curve, sure,
I'm great. I am absolutely grading on a curve. This movie could have been so much worse. I also, as much as I like Brie Larson, I love Brie Larson as a person, and she usually picks really cool, interesting roles. I think she catches a lot more crap than she needs to, like in life, in media. And the fact that she absolutely loves Nintendo as a company is great. She does not have a very... Go on. She does not have a very recognizable voice. There's no reason why she should have been a voice of Rosalina. There was nothing interesting to her voice.
She was in the movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they did not really do much with her.
Honestly, if they should have switched her with Anya Taylor-Joy from the beginning.
Yeah.
She should have... Brie Larson should have been Princess Peach.
Oh, I agree, because she would have at least given Peach that little bit of edge that they tried to set up in the first one.
And that she does have in this one.
Yeah.
They did follow through on that. Princess Peach does do a lot in this movie.
See, that's the thing you keep saying. You've said a couple times that there's no through line. There's no character growth or anything. And while there's not much, it is there. There is some. There's some.
Princess Peach starts out the movie as action girl and also ends the movie action girl.
But action girl with a better understanding of where she comes from. I would say that is at least something. There is character growth with Luigi, going from a scared guy to a less scared guy. It's there. It's not much, but it's there.
At least he's not the damsel in this movie.
Yeah. That's good.
He actually had something to do in this one. Really, the one that got the short shrift was Toad. Toad had nothing to do in this movie, and
Other
they tried
than
to
Yoshi.
And they tried to they tried to set up like this rivalry for Mario's affection between Toad and Yoshi. And
it doesn't pay off.
It doesn't pay off. There's nothing to it. That was bad. That was bad.
Bowser almost grows as a person, but then ends up going right back where he started.
that felt bad. That felt bad. I didn't like that.
Or worse than where he started, actually.
He's a skeleton now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Dry Bowser?
He is now Dry Bowser. He almost...
I mean, he'll get better. It happened.
He almost had growth.
Yeah,
and then didn't.
He almost, realized that the Mario Brothers were not bad, and that he didn't have to be bad.
Yeah.
And then he reconnects with his son. They have, half a conversation. And then just falls back on his old devices for reasons.
Yeah, that one seemed a little weak.
He kind of gets bulldozed by his own son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I will say I liked baby Bowser Jr. as a character.
I didn't like that voice.
The voice, they just went for the I'm a little kid voice. And that's kind of it.
I mean, he didn't sound young enough. Bowser Jr. is a little baby boy who calls his dad Papa and needs parental controls on the Switch.
Yeah, but they needed...
But this is Movieverse, though. These are Mario movies.
Well, there's apparently not much of a difference between that anymore, apparently.
Yeah.
Miyamoto said in interviews that he wants to carry it over into the games, which doesn't thrill me.
Well...
Especially with the stuff they made up for Peach. That was really dumb.
The Peach and Rosalina familial ties, that also felt weird.
Well, that and they're apparently god beings.
Yeah, the god beings from space.
Yeah. That
when they hold hands, they gain the power
to choose who lives and who dies.
They're like Aurora and North Star from Marvel Comics. When they hold hands, the power comes out of their hands.
Yeah, well, they're they terraform planets when they touch.
It's the Genesis bomb from Star Trek.
They're two halves of a whole Garden of Eden creation kit.
Wait, so was there a really good Star Trek movie about this?
There was one good movie and then one kind of okay movie that followed. Yeah. And then one with whales.
They did tease that there's some sort of dark space being that wants to kidnap both of them. They didn't say what.
They're setting up a Smash Brothers movie. That's Master Hand. It's just Master Hand. I have no doubt. There's
Taboo.
Yes, it's Taboo. God. No, I have no doubt in my mind that they're the end goal.
Tatanga.
No, it's Baron what's his face from Paper Mario.
Oh, it wouldn't be the dumbest thing in the world to pull things from those games.
It wouldn't be. Yeah.
Honestly, that would have been a good place for them to start. Look at these games. Mm-hmm. These are games about Mario characters that tell
a story.
They could have done a modified version of Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
And that would be a good movie. I think,
even the first Paper Mario.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which is more entrenched in regular Mario stuff than other Paper Marios are.
Yeah. They did tease at the end, and this will be the last thing before we get off and get onto news and stuff. They did tease Princess Daisy post credit.
Oh.
And that's cool.
She didn't say anything.
She didn't say anything, but because I haven't stuntcast her yet.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten like Olivia Rodrigo or Ava Mendes or someone like that. Yeah,
no, it would be like Olivia Rodrigo probably.
Was she at least in Sarasa Land, or she just kind of showing up?
No, she is in the space hub where Rom lives.
Not Rom Space Knight.
That would be awesome. Can you imagine? I did like that they put the Pikmin rocket in the spaceport. They could have pushed that further.
Yeah, even though that joke would make no sense if you didn't know what Pikmin were.
Sure.
I laughed out loud at Rob slowly turning.
That was really funny.
Even though that's like if you didn't know.
If you didn't know, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was really funny.
That was probably the most genuine laugh the movie got out of me was Rob slowly turning around.
Yeah.
And them getting fed up with waiting on it.
That was good.
It's the DMV scene from Zootopia.
Yeah,
kind of.
It is. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Basically. I am a little concerned, and if they do this, I will be on your side about
You'll eat your hat.
Yeah, the how these movies are not good actually. If they set up Daisy as the mirror universe Peach to Wario and Waluigi's mirror, if they set up a mirror universe, and that's how they explain Wario, Waluigi, and Daisy.
I mean, that joke's been told a million times.
It has, and I don't.
And that's
like
even
it.
before. That's even before the Wa Peach stuff.
I highly prefer Wario and Waluigi are just two guys that hate Mario and Luigi and decided to do crimes
in their likeness.
Dressed as them.
I mean, like they've established Mario and Luigi as people who are famous within the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
So if they want to go, well, here's a guy that's sick of Mario being around, and I'm gonna.
And his weird lanky friend.
Evil. Yeah.
But I'm concerned that they're going to set them up as if it's the mirror universe. Going back to Star Trek, it's Spock has a goatee and now he's evil.
Even though,
and they're going to set up Daisy as like,
even though Mirrorverse Spock wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
In comparison to the others.
This Princess Peach is already like funky like Daisy would be.
I know that's my biggest complaint is the way they wrote Peach in these movies. Is they built her to be Daisy, like as far as how the fandom views Daisy.
She had to do something.
That's true because
she had to do something.
Because in regular Mario verse, she is just I made a cake. Oh, I'm a damsel. Oh, I'm getting kidnapped all the time. It's very few that she actually gets to do something. It's Mario 2, and
that was a necessary evil to make Peach do.
Something.
Be functional.
Miyamoto, I think, always intended for Princess Peach to have a little bit of spunk and mischievousness to her that never came through
Not really.
anything ever. But if you read like interviews where he's talking about her, like I think that was the intention.
Mm-hmm.
Not that means anything when you don't
actually follow through.
Yeah.
Sure. I would rate it if we're going out of a 10, which we never do. We never do this, but like if the first movie was a 7.5 for me, I'd say this one's like a 6.5 maybe.
So a slight step
I would
down.
still it's not as good for me. It's not as good as the first one. It's clearly not a perfect film. It's clearly not, but it's better than straight down the middle average for me. I think there are things in there that make it an entertaining film.
There's bones there.
There's bones there, and I think
not just the dry ones.
Dry bones.
Yeah,
dry
I knew
bones.
you were gonna make that joke.
There are some dry bones, but I think there are some things in there that. Yeah, I think it's fine.
I mean, it's not. I sat through the whole thing and I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose. Yeah,
I didn't.
High praise.
Yeah, like
I could have walked out.
Yeah,
but I didn't.
I mean, like I didn't hate it, and like I honestly cannot tell if I like this one or the first one better because I went into this one like
so poo on the party.
Not like with. Not high expectations.
Lower expectations, sure.
So I didn't feel disappointed by it.
Yeah.
And like I wouldn't say I hated it, even though I
lampoon it every chance you get.
Because like I said, I sat through the whole thing. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And there was parts that were mildly entertaining, but it could be so much better, and we deserve so much better, and the franchise deserves so much better than mid tier plot.
But we're never going to get what we want out of it. They're never going to make the perfect Mario movie for us.
But they could definitely
gamers.
make a better one.
Oh, they can always make a better movie. Every movie you could say they can do a better job with it. I will agree with you that I guess I don't know your opinion on this. What did you think of the Baby Mario and Luigi section on that dinosaur island?
It felt like they were just burning time.
Yeah.
It didn't add anything.
That felt like, it's like, well, we have Yoshi and we have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What was his thing? Oh, he rescued babies. Let's turn them into babies. I do like that they referenced the live action Mario Brothers movie with that, because he's using the
Devo gun.
The Devo gun from that. And that was cool.
Which was just a Super Nintendo Super Scope.
It was a Super Scope, yeah. So, but they used the Super Scope in it. I liked that.
It technically should have turned him into monkeys if it was that gun.
Well, but it's...
You know what? Take it. Take it. It's not like they were in jumpsuits.
I'm just saying, if it was the Devo gun, it would have turned them into monkeys.
It would have turned them into monkeys.
Yeah, and then Bowser could have been like, "Ha, monkey!"
A monkey.
They could have made him look like the Yoshi's Island monkeys. Those like cute little monkeys.
Those the little puffy cheek guys.
There's one in there.
Yeah. Kiki was in the movie.
Kiki was in there, and he stole all your stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Also, they missed one of the Mario 2 bosses. If you want to get real nitpicky about it.
Okay.
All the Mario 2 bosses were in there except for Fry Guy.
That's right. Fry Guy wasn't in there, was he?
The big living flame.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if you're going to put the big crab in there, you might as well put the flame, too.
Yeah.
Also, let Birdo talk, coward.
Yeah. That felt like them cowarding out because they didn't want to put an actual voice gender to Birdo.
They didn't want to broach the subject of Birdo's gender at all.
Birdo does not make a single sound in the one scene that they're in.
Not even spitting the eggs?
They spit eggs, but it's just like there was no actual like vocalization.
Okay, well, how was Wart? How was Wart?
Very good.
It's fine.
Like 2 seconds, like Wart's there.
No, there's a whole sequence in a casino that doesn't have any real bearing to the whole plot. It just kind of happens.
What is up with casino scenes in movies like that?
Yeah, it's very Canto Bite.
It is it is incredibly Canto Bite. You're right.
That is a good comparison.
Yeah.
But
Looking at you, Last Jedi.
And Wart's always like, he's spitting bubbles, he's bubbling things, which is good because
that's what he did.
But
he sounds like a mobster in this.
Yeah,
kinda. And that's fine.
I liked the entire presentation.
Did Mouser have an accent?
Mouser did not say anything, but I'd like to think he's German.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that was Yui Bowl.
I liked his flamboyant German accent in the cartoon.
It was
very
great.
funny.
Yes. He needs a German accent. It's Mouser.
I mean, his name's Mouser.
Yeah.
He's named after a German
gun.
pistol.
Yeah.
German gun. Yeah.
I love in Mouse PI for Hire. The pistol is called a Meiser.
Oh, nice.
And the Tommy gun, I don't understand why it is. Like, I get that it's a joke, but it doesn't make sense. The Tommy gun is called a James gun. Which is funny.
I mean, that's a good joke.
It's a good joke, but like lore-wise, it's like, well, why?
I would have called it a Tom and Jerry gun.
Yeah.
Or a Tommy Cat. Like Tomcat.
Tomcat. Yeah. No, that makes
But there's only mice in this world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And an alligator.
But James Gunn,
James Gunn, got it.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Joke.
I do like that.
Yeah,
Okay. I wasn't originally
It's
picking
stupid,
up.
but I like it.
That's my other complaint about Mouse is that it's all mice. It's like there's so many. That vintage of cartoon has so many like funny cartoon animals you could have.
Like the cows.
Yeah, or
Anything.
just ignore that whole vintage of cartoon that way.
Well, if they ever make a sequel to it,
yeah.
Mouse PI 2
or DLC or
there's
this
mice
time there's cats
and there's shrews, and they're just mice that are smaller.
Oh,
and like kind of an awkward allegory for minority.
Sure.
In the story.
Yeah,
it's a little. I don't know.
That was the Mario movie.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember the killer shrews from Mystery Science Theater? They were just dogs that they put carpets on their backs and told them, "Hey, go get that guy." That was a terrible movie, but a great episode of Mystery Science Theater.
Sorry, I'm remembering the Cocker Spaniel with the horn glued on its head in Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
That was supposed to be a Targ.
Yeah, the one where they split him. That's the one where they split Kirk into good Kirk and evil
Confident
Kirk, right?
Confident Kirk and
Mopey Kirk
and Cowardly Kirk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Timid
Kirk.
I rewatched the Atlantic Rim Mystery Science Theater the other day. That movie is almost too bad to
it was, yeah.
even poke fun to make it watchable through that.
Because it is bad.
That's rough.
It is
rough. That's a rough one.
I watched it on the Mystery Science Theater YouTube channel because they've been playing the Netflix episodes.
Oh, they have been. Okay.
Both seasons of Netflix episodes.
My Samsung TV Mystery Science once in a while pops through a new one. Like I'll be like coming downstairs, like get ready for work or something, and then all of a sudden I see Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt on the TV, and I was like, oh hey,
okay, cool.
I think they had some sort of special deal with Netflix, and Netflix didn't care enough to be like, yeah, whatever, do whatever you want with your Cowtown puppet show. We don't care. We don't respect what we have here. I really wish they would have given them another season on Netflix.
I really wish they would have too. But hey, we're going to be getting some new ones somehow online.
Yeah, they uploaded a video the other day of them building the set.
That's awesome.
And it looks better, I think, than the Joel reboot ones.
Yeah, the Joel reboot ones looked a little clean.
Yeah,
like they didn't look as handmade as.
If you look at the two, instead of it being junk, like vacuum formed in the background, it was just shapes reminiscent of junk. Like, that seems like it's more expensive than just putting junk on the wall.
And well, you know what?
For the same effect.
That feels almost like a generative AI photo of, okay, AI design what the back of the Mystery Science Theater wall looks like, and it's just shapes instead of specific things. Yeah. Yeah. All right. News. Let's get to it. First
time in the show's history.
I know. I'm proud of myself. All right. We got a little bit of time here for some news. Let's talk about some trailers first. We have a couple here. Coyote versus Acme.
The movie we thought we would never get, and the joke from the beginning of the show.
Yeah. It's finally getting a release, a theatrical release, as well as, digital. And, I don't know, it looks good.
It looks great, honestly.
I love Will Forte, and it looks like this movie has a lot of him.
It's going to be a lot of him. Well, Coyote doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So he's got to have someone who talks with him. But yeah,
he can't call himself super genius. I mean, I'm sure it says it on his business card that he hands it.
That's true. He has talked before, but
nobody
talks.
Well, I think to Bugs Bunny.
Nobody likes that.
I think it's he talks to Bugs Bunny, but also his cousin is the one that really talks.
Oh, you talking about Ralph Wolf?
Yeah, Ralph Wolf. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The one that's always going after the sheep.
Yes. Is that his cousin?
They're somewhat related.
They have the exact same character design.
Oh, they are basically this. That's true.
And they have this. I believe they have the same talking. Like when Coyote actually does speak.
Yeah, there is a couple.
He sounds like a professor.
Cartoons.
Like a.
He's very like
erudite.
Erudite. That's a great yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but this looks good. It's an interesting take on the Warner Brothers and live action world. Like, hey, these Acme things, they do break a lot, and I'm sure there are some shyster
in the real world.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some shyster lawyers that are trying to,
The whole Warner Brothers Discovery thing has put such a different look on this movie than it did before.
Yeah.
Like, it gives it a whole different flavor that'll make it that much more relevant.
Yes.
than it would be otherwise.
Well, especially like the whole redacted bit, and then like Froghorn Leghorn being like, we don't want anything else getting out, and it's like a very heavily veiled threat.
Oh, that trailer is very much sticking it to Warner Brothers, saying, hey, we're releasing this trailer only for non-commercial purposes only. Do not
Southern lawyer Foghorn Leghorn is like the role he was born to play, other than the one he already
I don't think
did.
he's even lawyer. Well, no, he might be the head of the law firm.
He's the head of the law firm that evil John Cena.
Yeah.
Evil Cena.
I mean, how are they going to? How is he going to try to defend the Acme Corporation when no one can see him? Okay, that was a bad one, but
No, that was a good joke. No, that was a good joke.
Put on their Acne invisible sight glasses.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
What if they do?
If they do that for one joke,
Yeah.
I'd be fine with it for one joke.
Yeah, it'd definitely be kind of dumb for a whole thing.
All right, flipping the script here on the opposite end of the scale, Clayface,
Ooh boy,
which is a straight up horror movie.
Yeah, this thing is doing some
very
things.
haunting.
Yeah, so
haunting, sad Clayface face.
So this is the Batman villain. This is Clayface. This is Matt Hagen, the character, the actor who gets injured and gets his face disfigured, and through means becomes
Super science.
super science becomes
Clayface.
being Clayface. You know,
But
if
not
Alan
that
Tudyk
one.
wasn't the voice of Clayface, Matt Berry would be a perfect Clayface.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it almost feels like
He's doing an
it.
impression.
It almost sounds like Alan Tudyk was doing
an impression of Matt Berry. Yeah. But this, it's going full on horror. Gunn has said that this is technically part of the Superman DCEU, but it takes place so many years prior that it really doesn't matter. Because I think this is partially a period piece, honestly.
It's hard to say, really.
Yeah, or like a timeless kind of situation. But the trailer itself is really haunting. It is going to be straight up a horror movie. Body horror, the whole 9 yards.
It's practically The Substance.
Kind of the substance. There is an old, I think it's Italian horror film called Eyes Without a Face.
Yeah,
and there
I've
are
seen
some,
that.
and there are some shots from this trailer that are taken directly from that.
Yeah.
So they're pulling from that. There are shots from this trailer that pull directly from the Batman the Animated Series episode Feet of Clay.
That
part 1 and
episode
2.
is so well animated.
It is. I love that episode. Between that one and the Hardak episode.
Hardak is really good too.
I love them.
You know, Hardak was the voice of Hardak was the guy in Blade Runner, mechanic guy yeah. But no, Feet of Clay is between that and was it Heart of Ice? The Mr. Freeze, where they reintroduced him.
After he died and then came back.
The Clayface episode is all TMS too. So
it is
technically
it's
an anime.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's a Batman anime.
I remember as a kid, I would watch it every day. And my dad, we sat and we watched Batman the Animated Series because it's a great show. But I remember him going back to that one from time to time, going, man, that is one of my favorite. That was such a good episode for a character I've never heard of and all this stuff. It was so good, and it really is. And this movie looks like it's pulling.
You know what?
Yeah.
The Batman the Animated Series did so much for the Batman mythos as a whole.
Oh yeah,
that whole thing's carried over. Like Mr. Freeze's backstory was created for the show.
Yep.
Because the original Mr. Freeze, or Mr. Zero, as he was originally called in the Golden Age comics, was not like that. He was just a cold-based villain. No one.
That was as much thought as they put into it.
No different than, say, Captain Cold or Killer Frost or any of those other characters.
Although Batman 66 is what made him actually a cold guy who has to stay in a suit.
Yes, that's true. Because Mr. Zero originally.
And that's why they changed his name to Freeze instead of Zero, because it played better on TV.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
But I get what you're saying. I mean, and yeah, it has really shaped the personalities and the way the Batman characters have been written for the past almost 40 years.
No.
Let's face it.
No.
We were like 5 or 6 when that show came out.
You were.
I was. Yeah.
What were you, 6 or 7?
Oh, no.
No, I would have
Get out.
I would have been.
Get out.
I still haven't seen that movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Okay, other trailer. We have another one, probably the last trailer for Spider Noir, the show.
Yep, the Amazon Nicolas Cage helmed live action miniseries Spider Noir, based on the detective noir Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse.
didn't seem like there was a lot in this trailer that wasn't already in the other one.
They're calling this one the villains trailer. So
there were
the previous ones you saw his character. I don't even know what to call him. Spider-Man.
I think he's just technically called Spider-Man.
The spider.
Yeah, in his universe, I think just Spider-Man.
He's just Spider-Man. Okay, we've seen Spider-Man in the previous trailers fighting like mooks, like generic thugs,
goons and whatnot.
We got hired goons. Yeah, but this one they've shown Sandman. They've shown Tombstone is one of them.
Tombstone, yep.
Molten Man, who is an old school.
Yep.
And technically not Electro. It's an older electric-based Spider-Man villain named Megavolt.
I hate the fact that Spider-Man has so many electric-based villains. It's 3.
Yeah.
Because you got him, you got Electro, you got Shocker.
Shocker
feels more Sonic than electrical.
Shocker is technically Sonic Wave-based instead of... Yeah. But his name is Shocker, so...
Which is a dumb name.
Yeah, except for that
Cool suit, dumb name.
Except for that one episode of Spider-Man, the animated series, where Peter Parker is being infected by the symbiote, and he, goes to town beating up Shocker, and at the end he just yells to the heavens, Shocker!
I
reaches from the depths and yells it. That is so good.
like he's reading Hemingway or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it also looks like you see some kind of weird person that was mutated with spider DNA or something bite.
Looks like Spider's Man.
He does look like Spider's Man.
Or a version of the man spider biting Nicolas Cage.
I think we're going to be getting a lot of trippy hallucinogenic scenes, as is the usual for a lot of Nicolas Cage films. Maybe not to the level of Mandy, but I think we're going to be getting a lot of he's asleep or he's drunk and asleep or knocked out, and you're going to see flashes of weird BS just flying at the screen.
Well, then it's technically a Spider-Verse movie too, and that's full of weird visuals.
Weird visuals.
Yeah.
But it's the first live action one, so there is a limit to what they can do.
There's not. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's movies.
I didn't need another trailer for this. I just want to watch it.
Make
it come out.
Yeah.
It's bad enough. It's bad enough we're going to have to watch the series twice.
Once in color and once in
I won't watch it.
No. You're doing it in the wrong order.
Oh, yeah. Once
black
and
white,
and then in
and
color.
then watch the color.
I'm not watching it in color.
I'm
just going to watch it in black and white, and that's it. Because that's how it's supposed to be, and doggone it, that's the way I'm going to do it.
I'm the old man on my porch yelling at the sky.
Get off my lawn. I'm going to watch my Spider-Mans in black and white as God intended. All right. Last couple of things. Oh, there were a couple of images put online for the Big Bang Theory spinoff, Stewart Fails to Save the Universe.
Which is an update on the title I thought it was.
It was originally Stewart Saves the Universe, but they need to let people know
he's gonna fail.
Screw it up. And I know your guys' opinions on the Big Bang Theory. I largely agree with them.
I do not care for it, sir.
It is perfectly fine, but it's not something that I would actively choose to watch. However,
it's definitely not on my. Oh, I love this show.
I feel like I'm becoming the designated hater on this program.
No, just for this episode. It's okay. We take turns. It's all right. I will say this. Of all of the characters from the Big Bang Theory that they could have made a spinoff of, Stewart's Comic Shop is the one that makes the most sense to me.
I'm just glad it's not the other guys.
I think we need to make an indie animated pilot about us running a comic shop while also doing this show.
Oh no, Bear is driving. How can this be? It's basically Clerks the Animated Series, yeah.
I mean, why not?
Why not?
That didn't last as long as it should have. So.
Very true. But point being, for this thing, the images that they put online, there were a couple that looked like they were, two-camera sitcom
on a soundstage
sort of situation. But there were a couple of shots that, I can't believe I'm going to say this, they look like an actual show. They look like real television.
Like when you had the pictures pulled up earlier and I was looking, one shot looked like it was straight up out of Stargate SG-1.
Yeah. Well, the premise of this show allegedly is one of the guys from Big Bang Theory built a machine, and it accidentally schlorps the main cast of the comic shop from Big Bang Theory into parallel universes, and they start screwing stuff up.
Oh boy, it's Sliders, but wrong.
It's Sliders.
Of all your favorite Paramount Plus properties.
Yeah, right.
Sliders.
I hope they don't do it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to love Sliders, though.
Yeah, oh man. Tiny burgers, oh, it's the best way to eat them.
Here we go again.
Yeah, yeah.
Burger King's going to have them.
Oh, they are?
Nice. Taco Bell's going to have some cheesy gordita sliders,
They're
too.
pretty good.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Good. But yeah, I am interested in trying this one. I'm way more interested in this than Young
Taco
Sheldon.
Bell or the...
Both. All of it.
All at the same time.
Listen, I will eat my Burger King slider and my Taco Bell slider while watching knockoff sliders. That's fine. But no, I'm interested in seeing how they go.
You can't call them sliders. They're little burgers.
They're tiny burgers?
Tiny
okay.
burgers.
Yeah.
They're
slidums.
Only White Castle can call them sliders.
That's true.
Actually, no, a slider is when you cook the burger in onions. Like with onions.
That's the technical.
That is the technical term
that
for sliders.
explains why I hate them.
There you go.
You're not an onion guy?
I hate them.
See, growing up, I wasn't. I was exceedingly picky growing up, and I'm still a picky eater to some extent. But when it came to burger stuff, the onion was the first thing that I switched opinions on.
They have to be cooked.
Oh yeah, raw onions are just.
Yeah, I don't want a raw onion on my burger.
See, I'll eat a raw onion. I don't mind a crunch. I'll have a raw onion over crunchy pickles.
I love crunchy pickles.
I like pickles, but I just pick them off the burger and eat them. I don't.
Okay.
I don't like that pickle taste to get in the way of the beefy cheesy taste.
See, we're talking about this. My mouth is watering.
I'm not even hungry, and I'm still talking about
food. Yeah. I would get burgers with the pickles and give my pickles to my folks because I liked the flavor of the juice, but the texture of the sloppy pickle. As a kid,
it's always the worst pickle you could find.
Oh yeah, especially like a McDonald's pickle because they're super thin and there's no structural integrity to them. They're just gel basically, and it's like, come on, do better.
So this is the last thing I'm going to bring up about the whole pickle thing.
Yeah,
I remember.
I'm Pickle Rick.
No,
funniest thing I've ever seen. Go ahead, Josh.
So they used to make these things. They were called stackers, and this is. I mean, we still have stackers, but they're different than what they used to be. They used to have these
the like gas station pills.
The boner pills.
No. And not the trucker get 'em up in Adams. No, they were a pickle. It was a slice of pickle. The size. You really throw me
so
off.
You got me.
Oh,
that
was
pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Anyway. So they used to call them stackers, and they were a big crinkle pickle slice or whatever.
Yeah.
Took up the whole size of the jar, and they were the same size as a hamburger patty. So you would get pickle in every bite, and that's what they advertised.
Seems like too much pickle to me.
Amazing.
I
used to eat them straight out of the damn jar.
I'd just eat that out of the jar. Yeah.
But yeah, they don't make them anymore. And now the stackers are just regular pickles sliced.
They don't make cucumbers that big anymore.
Well, they probably shouldn't have anyway. There's probably something wrong with them.
Sure.
Just a lot of HGH in there.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thoughts on pickle spears?
Love pickle
Delicious.
spears.
Hate them. Can't do it.
There was one night I was bored when I still lived at my parents'. In the middle of the night, I'm hungry. I went to the kitchen and I looked in the fridge, and nothing sounded good. I'm the only one in my household that eats pickles.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a jar of pickles in there that I hadn't gotten into yet. I took that to my room and I sat there and played, I think, Command & Conquer Red Alert on my PS1, munching down on pickles all night, and gave myself the world's worst heartburn in the history of the world.
I was going to say, was this a Homer Simpson eats 100 slices
That's what I thought
of American cheese
and goes
in one night and goes blind?
I think I've gone blind, Marge. Call the ambulance.
2.
or the one where he eats the bad sandwich and he's like laying.
Yeah.
But no, eating the 100 slices of Kraft cheese is probably, because that's not even real cheese. You're just eating chemicals there anyway.
Fried pickles. Fried
absolutely will
Delicious.
destroy.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
100%.
that new Mandalorian burger.
Yeah.
That's coming to Burger King.
Yeah.
Has fried pickles on it.
Ooh, yeah, that's the good stuff.
Oh man, I am.
Yeah.
Brandy told me about it earlier today, and I was like, and she's like, I know you really like Burger King, and I don't like Burger King, but I'm like,
I don't eat Burger King often, but occasionally I'll be like, I want some of that.
I hate it.
Some of that
taste.
that chemical smoke.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, they actually do cook their burgers over an open flame.
I believe it, but
Yeah,
they also squirt a bunch of fake smoke on it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I will say, I do like Burger King. I don't get it as often, but I do get a hankering for it sometimes. I think Burger King is the best place to get Impossible Burgers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that chemical smoke flavoring that they squirt on top of the burger pushes the fake burger taste just over the edge enough to make it taste even more like a real burger. Like, I don't mind an Impossible Burger. I'll get one every once in a while.
I like a veggie burger just because I like a veggie burger.
I would get veggie burgers more often, but they're usually more expensive than regular
that's true.
burgers.
That's
so
true.
I'm not gonna...
And some of the brands, coming as a former vegetarian myself, a lot of those other brands suck.
Yeah.
And they're terrible.
Impossible's
Impossible was one of the best ones I found, especially for burger patties.
Like
Yeah.
one of those where you bite into the patty and like a bunch of corn falls
Oh
out.
yeah,
Like-
no, that's ugh.
I like black bean burgers too.
Yeah, those are good.
Those are fine.
B-Dubs used to have a pretty good black bean burger.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I'll even eat a portobello burger, even though
Oh,
I'm not a
man.
mushroom guy.
Just a giant portobello cap.
No,
that you do
you're
stuff.
not a
Ooh.
mushroom guy. You're a human guy.
True.
You're not a toad.
Confirmed, Cody, not a myconid.
Yeah.
All right, we have actually hit time here, so let's go ahead and wrap up the show. You have been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com.
If you have any questions, things we want to talk about, or you just want to weigh in on what we're talking about,
Your favorite pickles.
you know what? Yeah, your favorite pickles.
Are
And
they
you,
Grillos?
you better not say bread and butter because those are nasty.
Ew. You're a nasty freak.
Nasty boy.
You're a nasty freak if
But
you
you
like
can send
bread
your
and butter.
you can kick those nasty thoughts at staff@nerdoverload.com.
You can get your parents' permission and give us a call at 412-345-1413. You can leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the show, even if it is a terrible opinion about bread and butter pickles.
Yeah. You know, I had there was some place that made their own brand of pickles, and they put cinnamon in them.
Ew.
What?
Yeah, they were like sweet pickles with cinnamon on a burger. And I was like,
churro pickle.
no, what? No, stop. Why?
Okay, yeah. You're making me invoke the Steve Carell.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yes.
in the office. No. Why?
No,
No.
stop. No, why?
That might have been the funniest thing they ever did on that show.
One-
Probably. That's
That-
probably why it's a very active GIF on the internet.
And Kevin falling over, holding onto the
chili,
giant
yeah.
chili.
That's
Yeah.
pretty iconic,
That
too.
was pretty great. All right, you can find all of our back episodes on various podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And finally, I'd like to thank Parker for helping us find news for the show. Thank you, Parker. And David Pencil for our intro and outro. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
Gherkin out.
I have to report that the KFC beans all got thrown away the other day.
Good.
They're gone. They
Good.
cannot hurt us anymore. They were attracting ants into my office.
And the ants weren't even eating them.
They check it out and go, brother, ew.
Who
They
would do
mutated
this?
the ants into giant ants like them, like the movie Them.
Like them, yes. Okay, that's got it. That's a show.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, we do it. We do it here.
We do the show.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
normally
last week you.
Whoa, double.
Oh wait, that might have been. It might be a conversation for off the air, but you
Yeah.
mentioned us being in trouble with the radio station.
a little bit.
What happened?
Oh,
What happened?
no, it wasn't us being in trouble with the radio station.
Oh.
It was we tried to do I think the intro that you started with last week we wouldn't be able to wing.
Well, no, but yeah, I know, but you had mentioned that we weren't.
No,
We had to placate. We were because Tom was on some kind of tear.
No, it wasn't really so much that. It was that I'd been doing some IT work for him, and things were not working the way they should, and he was a little elevated because of it.
Okay.
So I was getting ahead of the game by saying, hey, let's not say a super offensive intro. I mean, it wasn't an offensive
It wasn't
intro,
offensive,
but it was a little more off color than usual. And I just kind of was like,
I mean, it was drugs related.
Yeah.
So. Oh
yeah,
wait, we got Pika Lucha as an emote.
I don't know. I had that emote.
Oh, nice.
I don't know where it came from.
I have no idea.
I have it.
Hello, I am Pikachu.
I wish I knew why it's
pigs in space.
Did that do it? Nope, that didn't. We're doing some testing here because right now, once I close out of our audio recording software, it's echoing us like a lot.
Well, I think we're coming through that speaker up there.
We're coming through the speakers, but let's see if I do that.
There you go.
There it is. There it is. Are we still coming through on the mixer? Yes, we are. Hey, that's it.
You fixed it.
I fixed it. Holy crap. Okay.
Oh, the other day when Iron Mouse was watching a lot of like Saturday morning, etc. intro sequences, she watched one for Los Luchadores.
Oh, that show's awful.
It is the most.
Is that the Power Ranger Luchador knockoff one?
Yes, it is.
It's like the most culturally appropriating thing I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, none of the leads who are the superpowered luchadors are
actual luchadors.
Latin American.
They're all white people.
They're all white guys.
With and their characters have
the accents,
Hispanic names and accents.
Yeah, it's a white guy going, "Oh, hello, hola."
You should just play the opening.
Yeah, see if I can find it here.
I used to watch this show. I used to love it.
Los Luchadores.
It was like, no, seriously, it was like a time in my life where I watched a lot of luchadors on TV, and it was like I was watching Rey Mysterio Jr. do stuff on the WWF, and then I was watching Mucha Lucha, and I was watching Los Luchadores.
It's like Sarah Bryant as Rosa Martinez Hernandez.
Yeah, it's. There's a reason why I never watched this one. It's
right in the third one.
Yeah, I'm getting it. Seconds about it.
Was this one actually produced by Chaim Saban?
It's on Fox Kids.
Ooh.
Yeah,
so there's a good chance.
There's a good chance. Wait, no. Gotta be.
I forgot we were even still streaming.
Oh, yeah, we're still streaming.
That is how seamlessly we ramble about things that have no context on what we're actually talking about.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Let's go.
The faceless heroes, Lucha Libre and Mascarados, Lobo Fuerte and Turbine together, meet Villanos, champions forever.
Oh, the evil claw.
Yeah.
So fun.
It is, yeah.
That's not Marone, he might be, but Levi James. Sarah Carter. Sarah Shaw.
Gotta have the guy in the chair.
It's a pretty okay theme song.
Yeah.
Just the rest of the show.
Created by Whitey McWhiterson.
But yeah, kinda, you know. But yeah. No, there's a reason why I don't include that one in American Tokusatsu.
Yeah.
It is of the Big Bad Beetleborgs era.
You watched one that it was just Gridman.
Oh yeah.
Samurai.
Super Cyber Samurai Squad.
It's Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. Yeah.
It's Gridman but American. I had the toys. Even though I wanted the big dragon Zord from the current Power Rangers arc that they were on.
Well, they didn't even spell cyber right. Wow.
Yeah, no, it has to all be S's.
Yeah.
And it stars Matthew Lawrence, a lesser Lawrence brother.
Virus Inside Computer Circuits. With the help of Malcolm Frink, he creates mega-virus monsters to attack electronic systems. Meanwhile, a freak accident turns Sam Collins into Servo. His friends join forces in their samurais to attack the opposed. Together they transform into the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. Superhuman Samurai. Superhuman Samurai.
Power Ranger hype.
Oh yeah. Andy Hayward.
Yeah, the Deke guy. Yeah, this was Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad was Deke.
I mean, that crosses all the Deke things. Take all the Japan stuff out.
Yeah. All right.
Like them repainting trees in Sailor Moon.
Guys, we have to now. We have to.
Molecular, home planet of the diabolically evil Emperor Gargantus. Gargantus has vowed to use his army of alien monsters to conquer Earth. The focal point of a system of power portals he needs to rule the universe. I am Nimbar, head protector of the power portals. To carry out my mission to stop Earth, I have chosen 4 teenagers from Beverly Hills. I summoned them by flashing their tattoos. Then they transform into galactic citadels. The fate of the Earth depends on these tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills.
Their suits are very, very.
It's like, hey, we don't want to make helmets, so we're just gonna paint the mouth part silver, and you're gonna wear a wrestling mask.
Well, it's because we had a bunch of. It was very clear that the teens and the people in the suits were so different. They were like former American gladiators.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask if they were gladiators.
That's why they had the fake hair and the mask and everything. Yeah. Oh yeah. Terrible stuff.
That was a wild time for kids' TV, though.
It sure was.
So much live action.
I wish someone would
redo
Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. I think you want to talk about something that has a nugget of something good in there. I will say that because the fight scenes and the school angst scenes were more divided than Power Rangers, I will say that the teen angst scenes are more successful than Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin's teen scenes.
Those were really bad. Other than a couple episodes, I hated all the stuff of like the Rangers going about their daily lives crap.
Like a lot of people go, okay, it's like teen superheroes and Saved by the Bell for Power Rangers. No, Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills is basically
90210.
No, it's even more Saved by the Bell. It's like carbon copy Saved by the Bell, but then Nimbar says, "Come on, you guys, we've got to go fight some random ass monster man," and they turn into fight people for 5 minutes.
I wonder if the copyright is expired on it.
We could find out. We could own Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. I mean, I tried to get the rights to what was that? DOS. Like it was like a Fox
Scunny.
Oh. I looked heavily into finding the rights for Scunny. Things might happen with that. We may own Scunny.
I mean, if you get the rights to Scunny, I'll make a Scunny game.
Sounds good. We can do it. All right, listen. It's like 20 till 9 here.
Oh,
we need
Lord.
to get going.
We got to roll.
All right.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up at the
Thumbs
camera.
up at the camera.
Here we go.
Bye.
All right, yep.
Bye.